A new wave has formed for Season 2, an epic tour that ends with a new legacy. The OGs are back, ready to defend their legacy, while fresh meat joins the competition, eager to make their mark. Who is willing to battle door-to-door and conquer 2024? Buckle up, because the season of a lifetime is among us.
Here we go. Who's going to get the better restart?
Look at all this action as we come on lap 100.
Second. We're going to go around. This could be the big one.
Hey, four wide in Texas. Todd goes back. Make it. There's another bump. There's another hit. Cox into Miranda. Tate's going to
3 wins now for Zach Millett on what appears to be an unstoppable run in SWM Series Season 2. Atlanta now stands ahead as the series' next challenge, and it'll be a showcase of drivers' skill with an old service and loose race car on deck this evening in race number 7 of 18. Can anyone stop car number 31? Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Hampton, Georgia. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Murtis alongside this evening, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the No Limit Racing Sim Rap Market Series. Tonight's coverage from Atlanta is brought to you by Sim Rap Market, by No Limit Racing, and by all series partners. Welcome to race number 7, Zach, and welcome to the Sim Rap Market Series for the very first time. Joining us on the mic for this particular series and these particular drivers, and this is going to be a fun one for sure. Old Atlanta, as they call it, the legacy scan from 2008 or so. Oh boy, this is going to be fun.
Probably one of the best racetracks on the NASCAR schedule. A lot of people were a little irritated when SMI decided to do their little repave and redesign of Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's not the first time that this racetrack has been redesigned either. If you remember back in the early days of NASCAR, it used to be just a true oval, we like to call it, kind of like how we call Homestead Miami Speedway. It was an oval back in the day, then they made it a quad oval, and now they made it a quad super speedway, but we get to have our fun on the quad oval once again, and I love this old surface. I love the challenge that it gives these drivers, and I love what they were telling us earlier in the day when it came to a lot of the stuff of how the setup is for these drivers. It's going to be very loose. It's going to be a little bit on the wild side in a way. It's going to allow these drivers to give their ability to move and drive the car around, not really have the car drive them. So it's going to provide an open aspect to how these guys are able to handle these race cars.
Well, qualifying is opening up, so we'll get straight to it with cars on the racetrack. Here's a look at Brian Ruisi in car 50. Zach Millett on the racetrack as well, begins his first flying lap. And we know car 31 is going to be quick. He led practice again today. He is just on top of this series, on top of the standings. We'll talk more about that here in a few. But car 31 simply cannot be stopped this season. Absolutely looking like he might have this, looking like he's the championship favorite, I will say, at this point in the time.
Mistaken. This isn't the first time we've seen Zach Millett on Pit Stop TV. He ran in the Noble Can-Am series, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, we know that name, and Zach Millett straight to the top of the board, car 31. Right up top, Kevin West, though, goes a little bit faster there on lap number 1. Around the top side, Millett stays. West along with him. West running the very top of the racetrack. I like it. I like how these guys are moving around the racetrack, and it looks like Michael Matta is doing the same. He's 3rd quick. Daniel Wiles, 4th quick. Right on the top of the racetrack. Quentin Lee down on the bottom. The Harvick line around the inside. Let's see what car number 2's got for lap number 2. It's going to be a 30.876. It picks up, but it's not good enough for pole. Zach Millett goes faster. Where's Kevin West? Across the line. Slower for Kevin West, so Millett will take over pole position.
Yeah, the outside line seems to be pretty favorable to a lot of these drivers. I'm not sure why, to be perfectly honest. You know what, I shouldn't say that. Atlanta can be a bit of a multi-groove racetrack. You see Tucker here running the middle lane just off the bottom of the line, and he's going to run back to the start-finish line, finish his lap right here. It's going to be a 30.84. Should finalize to that, so it's going to be a little bit quicker for Joseph Tucker. He's going to stay in that 6th spot. Actually, that lap didn't seem to count.
It did not, so he will stay where he was. Andon Mendenhall in 9th so far. Mark Martinek into the 10th position. Gary Bowman has run his laps. He sits 13th. Christopher Cash sits 14th. Sean Ludison and a Jeff Gordon throwback. You'll like this one, Zach. He's on lap number 2.
Oh, yes, I will. Big Jeff Gordon fan right here. Coming back to start-finish line, big time, close to the wall. That's going to be a 31.22. He picks up a little bit. So that should slot him a little bit further up the running order.
And here is the biggest threat, I think, to the championship for Zach Millett. Adam Benefiel from Team Conti Racing, from Team Conti Sim Performance. Martin PC there on the hood. Lap 1, a 30.763. That's good for 2nd. He's going to go for 1st here on this 2nd lap. Let's see if he can get it. Right on the top of the racetrack, rim riding.
You saw that wiggle out of turn 2.
Yeah.
I hope you did. Into 3 and 4 right here. He's going to run a middle line. Runs those left sides right on that bottom seam. Look at the hands. Look at his hands, Andrew. Coming back to the start-finish line. He's going to bring it right down. That's a 30.71. That's going to put him, 30.70 actually, should put him second on the board.
Yeah, it solidifies his second place run in qualifying. A solid lap, but not good enough to beat car 31. Jared Rashawn now on the racetrack. Oh, and he's in the wall. His second lap is not going to count as a result, and it's not going to be a good one anyways. So his first lap will stand at 7th place so far. Here's Dylan Cardenas in car 12, trying to run a buzzer beater for the final lap here of his qualifying run. Cardenas in the bottom of the racetrack, a 30.767. That's going to be good. That's 5th.
30.8 after it all finalizes. So that's going to solidify him in the 5th spot. Only about 20 seconds left on the clock, Andrew. These guys are getting their laps in, and they're getting them in real close to the buzzer beater.
Here's Alfie Sheridan Jr. on the racetrack, trying to rim ride around the top of the racetrack in 3 and 4. Trying to drive off the banking and down to the start-finish line. Let's see what he's got in car 99. It's a 31.077. It's not a bad lap, but it's not going to be that quick. It'll be 15th quick for the 99, and a lot of drivers will not turn a qualifying lap. Let's talk about point standings briefly before we go racing. We'll recap them again during the race. Don't you worry. If you miss something here, we'll talk about it later, I'm sure. Zach Millett on top. Nathan Paris, 2nd place. Quentin Lee bumps up into 3rd. Jeremy Brown in 4th. Michael Moultrie, 5th. That's your top 5 in the standings, and look at how spread apart they are. Zach, most notably, of course, from 1st to 2nd, 228 points between 1st and 2nd in the standings. Zach Millett has got this series on lock right now. 3 wins on the season now in just 6 races. He's batting 500. Nathan Paris is the next best, and he's still way behind, it just feels like. And Adam Benefield, of course, has his Charlotte win, so he's not doing bad in the point standings, but he's got a little bit of work to do.
That is a huge margin, though, back to Nathan Paris in that 2nd spot. 228 points, Andrew. My goodness. That's a large margin for just a few races. I see a lot of people on here that could potentially get themselves in a few different spots after tonight, a few close points battles throughout the rest of the field. And, you know, it still holds a lot of weight that we're at Atlanta, Andrew, because this track is notorious for throwing people off their game. You know, back before the repave, you remember the outside line was not the place to be. You always end up wheel spinning on these restarts. You just got to make sure you hang on to that track position when you got it, and now it's time to see these guys rolling off.
Let's take a look at the grid this evening. On pole, Zach Millett in car 31. Adam Benefield starts at his outside. Those are the 2 best cars on the racetrack any given week here at the SimRap Market Series, and they're starting on your front row. Starting second row, 3rd on the inside lane is going to be Jeremy Brown in car 07 from Elite Motorsports. Kevin West starts on his outside. Starting 5th and 6th, it's Dylan Cardenas and Sean Boundy. And in row number 4, you'll find Andon Mendenhall and Jared Wishawn. To complete your top 10, it's going to be Michael Matta and Quentin Lee.
Rolling down in the 11th spot, Joseph Tucker and Brad Peters. They're going to roll off 11th and 12th on the starting grid tonight. 13th and 14th. Michael Moultrie and Russell Black will be in the 13th and the 14th starting spots. 15th and 16th, you've got Alfie Sharon Jr. and Colin Tyrrell in the 15th and 16th spot. 17th and 18th, Mark Martinek and Brian Russi in the 17th and 19th. Oh my goodness, 17th, 18th starting spot. I'm getting a little tongue-tied. Sean Lodesine and Daniel Wiles in the 19th and 20th spot. That is going to be your top 20, but we still got more cars to go.
The rest of the field looks like this. Gary Bowman, Christopher Cash in 21st, 22nd. Richard Lanning, 23rd. Christian Light, 24th. 25th spot will be none other than car number 4, Cody Ellis. Brandon Frohnapple will start from 26th. Starting 27th, it's Matthew Taylor. 28th, Matthew Montgomery. Starting 29th this evening, it's Casey Knighton. 30th spot, is Edward Jurgen. And to complete the field back in row number 16, it's Race Control as a joke. Not a joke, but not actually racing. And then Daniel Half in car 32. A quick look at Whiplash SimCam's race details. 167 laps the distance of this race, 4 change sets, 65% fuel. That'll be about 48 to 52 laps on the racetrack. Fixed setups, no fast fix. Up to 3 green light checkers are available if needed. It happens quick here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're going to get an extra... Oh, thanks. I appreciate the extra formation lap. I wish I knew. I thought I was going to have to rush that. I'll take the extra formation lap, though. It gives these guys a chance to set up and get ready to go racing. And just like last night, Zach, where they had an extra formation lap at Dover for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series, it's an extra chance to sit back, sit in the seat, kind of get comfortable, and do what a race car driver sometimes should never do, and that's think. Think about the start of the race. Think about this opening run and how to attack it. Think about where you're starting. Think about who you're around. Think about all of these different scenarios and everything that goes into this race. That's a scary thought, right? Well, not a NASCAR driver, but a sim racer thinking is a scary thought.
Don't think, just do. Utilize that ultra instinct for anybody that loves to watch Dragon Ball Z. Sometimes you just gotta let those thoughts get out of your head, you know, focus. Only worry about what you see out of the helmet. That's what I like to go with.
Well, we can take a deep breath and get ready to go racing then. I appreciate that. Again, we love the extra formation lap here at Pit Stop TV. But Zach Millett on pole, Adam Benefield from second spot, Jeremy Brown, Kevin West, Dylan Cardenas, your top 5. The iRacing.com pace truck will duck to the relative safety of pit lane. And this time by, we're going to turn them loose. At Atlanta Motor Speedway, we're racing for 167, and already some problems on the start. It's a big crash.
Big
Cardenas with Sean and more.
They're all wrecking back there. That's almost half the field. Lots of drivers with big time damage. You see spinning still. Oh my goodness. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at least. Maybe more.
Jared Washawn turned around. I saw the 20. I saw the 12 of Dylan Cardenas. So Colin Terrell involved in that in the 20 car. Edward Jurgen came to a stop. Daniel Half, I believe, involved. Let's go back and see what happened.
Man.
I could just about tell you what happened. We'll watch it anyways. Watch the 07 of Jeremy Brown. Coming into the Geico restart zone here, Zach. I don't know if he started in the wrong gear or if he spun the tires or something happened here. He spun the tires. He got loose. Cardenas checked up for him, and Mendenhall was all over Dylan Cardenas. And from there, you can kind of see what happened. Mendenhall all over the back end of the 12 car, just hooked that 12 car around.
That's what I was talking about when these guys are gridding up, Andrew. Tire spin, super, super big here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Usually it's on the outside line. Not expecting to see it on the inside. But there you see the hook. Lots of drivers going around, and then everybody's just scattering.
Oh.
Big impacts right there. And I can tell you for certain, when all the dust has settled, Jared Wishin and Christopher Cash, the 27 and the 74, both have pit for repair flags at the moment. So they are the ones that are more than likely done for the remainder of the race before it even really got started.
Jared Washawn was good until Ruisi came in. Brian Ruisi hit that 27 car and did all the damage to the right rear of that car. He was doing okay until then. I didn't quite see all of Dylan Cardenas' incident, but here he'll get turned. Michael Matta there on the 37 as well. Quentin Lee gets a big piece of it. Oh my gosh. Christopher Cash is going to be done. Christian Light.
So many big impacts right there.
Let's go back and ride on board with the 07 of Jeremy Brown and just listen in. He's in first gear. And spun the tires in second. Wow.
That's a big thing, Andrew. You know, with the next-gen race cars, you can restart in the first gear due to the gear ratios, and that's what a lot of drivers will like to do, but the wheel spin is much, much more apparent in first gear. So, man, that has got to suck for these guys.
For Brian Ruisi.
Here you see the smoke, and then he had nowhere to go. Well, Andrew, it's not a super speedway right now, but it had a characteristic of a super speedway. You can't really see past the car in front of you, and then all of a sudden, boom, there he is.
Christopher Cash got hit from behind. That was Christian Light that got into him. And you can tell because the wheel is not moving here, that disconnected the right front of the car. So if we go to one of the TV cameras here and watch, you can tell here in just a second that the right front is not going to be moving on that car. You can see all the damage to the right front fender. And when he comes around the bend here, look at how it's just static. It's not moving.
Lots of heavy damage on that race car. He is definitely going to be done really before this race even got started. Like I said earlier, got a couple of other cars on the pit lane trying to get some damage fixed. Hopefully seeing if they can salvage their races. Looks like Jared Wishon was able to get that flag cleared. And
it's actually rolling. I'm surprised.
Yeah, he is rolling. Maybe the damage wasn't as bad as we thought.
Well, let's go on board with them and watch. And the hands are pretty well to the left here.
Well, he is turning. He's trying to get off of the pit lane, off the access road.
Yeah, we'll be able to tell on the backstretch here how this car is looking.
He's straight for the most part.
Could be worse. Could be a lot worse. It's definitely a little bit cockeyed, but could be a lot worse for the 27 car.
Here's my thing. He got hit in the right rear. He didn't exactly have any steering damage. So what if it's going to affect the rear end of the car, which in turn, with an already loose setup, it could make it even worse to be able to drive.
Oh, exactly. That's a lot of toe out, it looks like. Or rather, if he's having to steer to the left, it's probably toe in, meaning the front of the tire is pointed in. Regardless, whatever the damage is for the 27 car, it's rather heavy. But Zach Millett, Adam Benefield, Kevin West, Sean Boundy, your top four, they all stay in lockstep formation. They will bring us around to the green flag this time by. And we'll officially get this race restarted for the first time tonight. So the Geico restart zone going to come into play. Jeremy Brown in fifth. Going to hope for a better restart this time. And here we go. Geico restart zone on the way. Green flag is back out. Let's try this again here at Atlanta. Down the backstretch, Millett away to a huge lead over Benefield and Boundy. Watch Mendenhall off the top side of the racetrack here in that 37 car. Bright red, Dale Earnhardt Jr. inspired Budweiser, number 37. He's moving on the top side.
And we complete our first green lap of the race. Zach Millett goes fastest overall. Oh man, look at that. Through the middle, Boundy had a little bit of a hiccup in the corner, put himself in the wall, and that's going to allow Mendenhall to take away second spot. Benefield stays third, and West slings on by for fourth.
Benefield down to the bottom, West along with him. Brad Peters there as well. Michael Matta through the middle. Sean Boundy on the top side of the racetrack. Everybody choosing their different lanes. You can tell this racetrack is opened up. You can run anywhere you want on it.
Boundy's going backwards still. He's down in the sixth spot. Peters up in the fifth. So you can see just how different lines are running. You saw three different cars running three different lines. West, Peters, and Boundy all running the bottom, middle, and top. We got one car slow off the apron. That's Richard Lanning. I don't know if he had to catch the car, if he's just coming off a pit road.
He's on the lead lap, so he's not coming off a pit lane, but had a problem for sure there on that lap. Here's the first battle on the racetrack. Brad Peters racing with Kevin West. Right behind Benefield and just ahead of the 34 of Sean Boundy as Mendenhall went fastest that lap. He's in pursuit of Zach Millett. We'll keep you updated on the race leaders, but for now, the first fight is for third.
He closed a bit of a 10th there on our leader, Zach Millett, but the fight, like you said, Andrew, for third right now. Two cars on the top, two cars on the bottom. Peters is really ripping on that outside line seam. Very close to the wall off corner exit, but that's how you got to do it. The Larson line, as a lot of drivers like to refer to it as. He's got the nose in front going into turn number three, into turn number one, and it looks like he'll clear that Team Conti Chevrolet on the bottom line. That's a new third spot for Peters.
That brings Sean Boundy along with. So the bottom side not going anywhere, the top side rolling here early. But how long will it be good for? You have a relatively green racetrack, you can tell there isn't much rubber down. So how long is that top side going to be good? Peters sliding into the grass, hangs on to the race car, but only just.
What a catch. as Bounty goes quickest overall. Mendenhall has actually closed the gap on our leader, Zach Millett, as well. He's got it down to about 3/10 as Peters now goes a little bit further backwards. Everything's
Moultrie.
shaking up.
Moultrie running 6th now. You see the top 3 all on the top side of the racetrack. Benefield, the first car down low. Benefield's been so good this season on the long run. I feel like if he's on the bottom, you probably want to be on the bottom of the racetrack as well.
Bottom line is usually the line that a lot of drivers prefer to run, as Bounty goes quicker still. He actually got back up to 3rd. I did not notice that. And we're starting to have a race for the lead heating up between the top 3 cars. We see more and more cars actually starting to drift up the racetrack, Andrew. More cars are starting to run that higher line. The top 3 are running it. You've got Benefield down on the bottom. You've got the 29 of Moultrie running the middle, West behind him on the bottom, but then you see more different lines the further down the running order we go. Everyone's really starting to feel it out. And I don't know, do you think maybe run the bottom right now, save those tires, or maybe put a little bit of rubber down on these extra lines and give yourself a little bit of an advantage later?
Honestly, I don't know. I think the bottom side might be the way to go, only because Benefield's down there and he's likely going to be saving tires. He's pretty good at it, so if he's doing it, I probably want to be doing it as well. Otherwise, I don't have much else to base off of. It's really hard to say who should be where right now at this point in the race. There you see Lodison go by Jeremy Brown. Brad Peters falls back behind Joseph Tucker, and up ahead, Annan Mendenhall just checks in within 2/10 of the race leader, Zach Millett. So the top 3, blue, red, and yellow, the primary colors, off to the races here at Atlanta.
Funny you said the primary colors. I was actually just thinking about those very recently. Obviously, one of the primary colors is my favorite, that big old yellow paint scheme of Bounty in that 34. He's shifting down to the bottom line to see if he can take that second spot away, ripping the white line in turn number 2. He's going to draw alongside the 37, but he's going to have to fall back in line. That outside line, Andrew, so powerful on corner exit. It just absolutely gives you a huge run down the straightaways. But you got to think about these tires. That's the big thing right now. These guys continue to race on for second, and that's going to allow Zach Millett to get away once again.
Millett's starting to put some time on the 37 car once again. And we are now about 1/10 of the way through this race. No stages this evening, so if you're new to the SimRap Market Series, maybe not used to that. Of course, NASCAR has gone to the stage format in recent years, and every race they run has got stages now. But no stages here on the iRacing.com platform for us tonight. Benefield, Moultrie fighting for 4th and 5th.
You see Moultrie's been running that middle line. Andrew is really starting to work for him, and he's caught up to these guys who potentially could have a little bit more pace than him. Into the middle line again through 1 and 2. He's going to draw alongside that 83 car. They're rolling pretty solid down the back straightaway. He's got the nose in front going into turn number 3. I don't see him losing out in 3 and 4. I think he's going to get clear coming off of turn number 4 to the start-finish line.
Behind these guys, you see Joseph Tucker into 6th spot as Benefield loses 4th. There's Tucker, Peters, and West. That completes your top 8. Brown has gotten back by Lodison for 9th. And then Alfie Sharon Jr. and Russell Black are racing for the 11th spot. Here they go.
Side by side down the back straightaway. There was a quarter on the inside. It looks like they're going to get clear, and now Sharon Jr. is going to roll alongside that Jeff Gordon throwback of Lodison, potentially put himself inside the top 10. It looks like it keeps rolling, Andrew, that outside line. It's just working right now.
But for how long? That's my question.
Ooh, it might not work for very much longer. You saw the 24 get very loose on corner exit.
Sharon Jr. right back to the bottom side of the racetrack, pulls some time there on Lodison. And I think showing there that the bottom is starting to come to life. I don't know if it's the amount of time they've run on the racetrack, if it's the tires. I don't know if it's temperature, which we can check. Weather conditions, by the way. 72.5 degrees in the air, 90 on the track. Sunny skies, clear skies. Beautiful virtual day for racing.
Track temp could be hotter. I will say, 90 degrees is already pretty hot, but ain't too bad for these guys, especially when they got a old surface, loose setup, cars that typically drive pretty loose. I mean, it's a recipe for either one fast car or one car that really wants to spin out.
On board with Michael Moultrie as he defends over the 83 of Adam Benefield. Moultrie not really able to go anywhere once he got by Benefield, so just defending this fourth spot now.
Thought these guys would actually be shifting into fourth gear going through the corners, but it seems like fifth gear all the way around is the way to roll with these cars. Took me by surprise, I'll say. I figured fourth gear in the corners would be a nice way to be able to keep that momentum up, keep the run going, but I guess the RPMs aren't exactly even low enough. 76,000 through the corner, or 7,600, excuse me.
We do have some pretty high banking here at Atlanta, even before the repave and reconfiguration. Pretty tall banking. So you're able to carry a lot of speed through the corner. Brad Peters gets by Joseph Tucker. A nice little fight here for a sixth spot. And this race is starting to string out. So let's go to the rear of the field a little bit and check in on some drivers towards the back. Casey Knighton back here in 25th. Brian Ravisi in 26th. Cody Ellis in 27th. Daniel Half in 28th spot. See kind of where they're running at this point in time. A little further forward. You'll find the 20 of Colin Terrell, the 9 of Matthew Montgomery. It's nice sometimes to check in with some of these guys that aren't having the best night and trying to get the night righted and get moving forward.
The long race, Andrew. Plenty of time for cautions, plenty of time to really settle in. Find where you can really make the car do what you want it to do, and I'm sure these guys will figure it out as the race goes on. And checking in with the race leaders, Mendenhall has tracked Zach Millett back down. He was separated by about 0.3 to second place, almost 4. Now it's back down under 0.2, a little under 0.2 from Mendenhall to Boundy as well. So the 31, the 37, and the 34 all running super close together. And it's funny you mentioned that they're the primary colors running up front. They're also all, what is it?
All three manufacturers?
No. Well, yes, but I'm thinking about they're all multiples of 3.
No, they're not.
Aren't they?
No. 30 is a multiple of 3, not 31. 36, not 37. 33, not 34. There are multiples of 3 plus 1. How about that?
Okay. I really was never the greatest at math class anyway.
Well, Zach Millett gets away a little bit now from Endon Mendenhall. Sean Bounty sits back in the third spot, just kind of holding steady. What's interesting to me is that Millett's starting to move down the racetrack a little bit, through 3 and 4 especially, and that's giving clean air to Mendenhall, which is downforce. Anytime you talk about clean air and getting air over the nose of the car, talking about front downforce and trying to get the full effect of downforce. And you see there, where Mendenhall ran in the tire tracks of Millett, he got free. So he's through that turbulent air, doesn't have as much grip. And if you watch down here in 3 and 4, Millett runs a little bit lower. That leaves a little bit of clean air on the top of the racetrack for Endon Mendenhall. And the last few laps, he's used it to his advantage. He's gotten a run, but that lap, he fell further back.
Yeah, that's another thing, Andrew. The same as Super Speedway right now, but another Super Speedway tactic, allowing yourself to have about half a lane or so to get that clean air on the nose. In Super Speedways, it helps when it comes to drafting because it allows air to still push into the radiator and keep that engine cool rather than blowing the temps up. But at tracks like Atlanta or even other tracks, like Charlotte, Texas, the cookie cutter style tracks that NASCAR started adopting in the early 2000s, it allows them to have that airflow push onto the nose so they can still keep that downforce on the car and still have that capability to turn the car so it doesn't get tight in that dirty air that is oh so apparent in just about any form of racing you could ever imagine. And, you know, sometimes it plays into your favor and sometimes it doesn't. Maybe your car's set up to handle in the dirty air and maybe it's better in clean air.
I'd like to give a thank you to all the partners with the series. We run lap 30 here of 167, simratmarket.com, Apex Sim Racing, IMB Racewear, Moser Racing, RS Button Boxes, Team Conti Sim Performance, Track Bar Media, The Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics, and Cyber Edge Hosting. You can see just how close these guys are getting to the outside wall here with this camera on board the 37 car of Endon Mendenhall. Watch it here through 3 and 4. Oh, he actually gets the wall there.
Just a little love tap.
Really getting close then. Couple of taps to the wall there on that lap for the 37 car as he runs second. Deeper in this field, next little fight we've got is going to be the 01 and 07. Kevin West and Jeremy Brown. Brown trying to recover, West trying to hang on. Remember, the 07 qualified and started this race third. He had that problem on the initial start, fell back to 5th. Had another problem on the restart, fell back to about 8th or 9th. And has been climbing back since, is now into 8th. So he's got by, I believe it was Alfie Sharon Jr. or somebody like that.
Well, the racetrack's on either way. Sharon Jr. is actually still in that 10th spot. He hasn't really moved since he was able to get up there. Everybody's just getting a little bit more spread out now, Andrew.
Somebody that's struggling that I would not expect to be struggling is Daniel Wiles back here in the 28th spot. A lot of right front damage for that 3 car. Comes into tonight in the chase. So I'm surprised that he's as far down as he is, but you see he's got that right front damage, and there you see the point standings. 429 back of the race, or race leader and points leader. But about 9 points to the good over Joseph Tucker coming into tonight for the chase.
That's not going to help him with Sean Bounty up in the 3rd spot right now.
Yeah, and Joseph Tucker running, what, 6th?
I believe so.
Andon Mendenhall running 2nd.
A lot of big contenders that he can't really afford to finish behind when it comes to the chase. You know, it's all well and good sometimes, you know, as he tags the wall there. You think you're doing fine, you think it's okay, and suddenly you start losing spots, and then by the time the chase rolls around, you're like, I'm still finishing ahead of these guys. Why wasn't I in the chase to begin with? Oh, that's right, that one race.
Here he comes to the
And
pit
it looks
lane.
like, yeah, he's going to bring it on in. Actually, looking at it, no meatball flag on that race car, so it looks like he's going to bring it in on his own accord.
This could just be an early play. Come in a little bit early, get some damage repaired maybe, and get back on the racetrack quickly. It's maybe just an undercut, but it looks like he's getting out of the car. I think he's done.
Yeah, you saw him get out of the car. I think he's just going to call it a day for that. He would only be the 2nd car out of the race. Christopher Cash would be the driver joining him 35 laps down after getting involved in that first incident of the day. The only other cars that are laps down are Jared Wishin and Christian Light. They're both 1 lap down, sitting in the 28th and the 29th position.
Watching the race leaders, you can see just how spread apart the front of the field is now. A lot of large gaps between these guys. Michael Moultrie, though, and Joseph Tucker are racing for 5th. Moultrie has been caught by that 39 car. They battle for 5th spot. And they bring Kevin West and Jeremy Brown. Brown still running 8th.
You might have been right about that bottom line, Andrew. Just a little bit. Moultrie was going forward. He was up to a high of 4th, right in front of Benefield, and now he has slid all the way back to 6th. We've got pit stops underway. Black in the pit lane in that 64 car. Russell Black is up on the jack. He's going to be taking 2 right sides right here. He might take 4. Yep, taking 4, and he's off and away.
More stops. Michael Maddock comes in. Matthew Taylor's going to come in. So we're opening up the pit lane now, it looks like, as 3 cars come in quick succession.
More cars starting to call out that they will be heading to the pit lane. A few of them calling out this time by.
This is a little bit early, but this would help break the race down into about 4 equal parts. Run 40 or so laps, then run to about 80 laps, then run to about 120 laps, then run to about 160. You can run this race in 3 stops pretty comfortably. So this is about on target for these guys. Maybe a little bit early, just a hair, but if you pit early now, like Andon Mendenhall and Sean Bounty are doing, maybe you can get a leg up on the rest of these guys that you're racing and get ahead of them and hold on to that track position as the run goes on. That's what they're hoping for.
We'll sure have to find out. See Mendenhall into his box. A little bit of confusion right there. I think he missed his box, Andrew.
Just got in. That's impressive.
Wow.
That's going to be a difficult exit, though.
I didn't think he'd be able to pit that way, though. I figured he had to be a little straight. He might have been too far to the right or too far in.
Michael Moultrie going to pit in the background, but here's a fight for 3rd spot now. Joseph Tucker, Kevin West, Jeremy Brown.
Got Benefield right there out of the corner of your screen coming out of the pit lane. Or excuse me, not Benefield, Mendenhall. He's still able to make it out in front. You see him coming off the pit lane as the fight continues for what is 3rd on the racetrack right now.
Zach Millett's coming in. Locking up big time. Benefield comes in. You see Brandon Frohnapple, Edward Jurgen, Daniel Haff, Michael Montgomery, Gary Bowman, Mark Martinek all coming in. Or exiting. Dylan Cardenas, rather.
Talk about a good job about getting that car woed up because Millett did not get a speeding penalty. I figured he might have had one, but he did not. So that's a great job on that 31 car to get that car woed up. He's taking tires anyway, so I mean, if you're going to try to risk it, you might as well.
And he will get down and away well ahead of the 83 of Adam Benefield. Brown takes over the race lead for the time being. Kevin West is going to come in, joined by Joseph Tucker and Sean Lodeson. Solid race so far, I gotta say. These guys have had a little bit of trouble this season with certain racetracks. Ones that have been difficult to get around and have had some accelerated caution counts, but tonight has been really solid. These guys have really kept it together really nicely and are having a long run here. I like what we're seeing, so let's hope it continues. We'll knock on wood just a little bit. But here comes Brown, here comes Sharon Jr. Richard Lanning going to come in as well.
Lots of cars finishing up their stop, but after all is said and done, this is your race respectively for the race lead once all of it cycles through. Mendenhall closed in a little bit on Millett after the pit stop cycled through. He had a bit of warmer tires for that initial outlap for Millett to get his tires warmed up, but it looks like that 31 car is going to stretch his lead back out once again over that Dale Jr. throwback.
And again, you see Millett running through the middle of the racetrack down there in 3 and 4, leaving clean air for Mendenhall on the outside. On even footing, Mendenhall could use that and get an advantage on corner exit. But now, on not so even footing, different levels of tire wear, he's just struggling. Christian Light pits. will come in for service, and that'll about complete the cycle of pit stops. So lap 48, the cycle is complete. With that in mind, we'll go Pit Stop TV side by side briefly and be right back to you in just a moment. Welcome back to the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. We continue on here, lap 54 of 167 now. And Zach, boy, what a race it's been so far. If we look at the race infographic on the left side of your screen now, 1 caution for just 4 laps, 3 lead changes so far, mostly through that pit cycle. In fact, all through that pit cycle, no other lead changes thus far this evening. It's been all Zach Millett on the racetrack. Now, this is your first time with the SimRat Market Series. What have you learned so far in these opening laps?
Nothing I really haven't seen before when it comes to this style of racing. You know, it's been pretty straightforward overall. These guys have really been able to space themselves out. The difference being really is just that they're not doing stages. You know, every time we've covered it, a series that utilizes this next-gen race car, they usually go off of the NASCAR format, do some stage form racing, kind of like the BRB Butt Kicker Cup series. It's just a little bit of a different aspect. You know, not a lot of people are really used to that style of racing anymore just because it's become the new norm. But I've always still been preferable to the old style of just a straight-up race. No stages, no gimmicks, no extra points, no nothing. We're just out here to have a good time. We're out here to race these cars, and you know, sometimes it gets a little spread out, but at the end of the day, that's still racing. Not every race is going to be a barn burner, as they like to call it, but it's not also going to be a Game 7 moment.
Fair enough. Well, this broadcast is brought to you by a few partners here at Pitstop TV and the Sim Rat Market Series. First off, of course, SimRatMarket.com, Apex Sim Racing, IMB Raceware, Moza Racing, RS Button Boxes, Team Conti Sim Performance, Trackbar Media, The Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics, and CyberEdge Hosting, as well as Whiplash Sim Cams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design. Been a fun one so far, but definitely has not been one of those barn burner kind of days. It's been a quiet day, although, oh, look at this. I talked about the long run and Adam Benefield coming to life. He has come to life here in this second stint of tires and fuel. Drives right on by Sean Boundy, now drives right on by Annan Mendenhall, and he is now in pursuit of your race leader, Zach Millett. So while that first run, he was a little bit off, this second run, he has figured things out, is working that bottom side nicely and moving forward. The track might have also gone through a bit of a shift there. Of course, we're getting later in the day, so shadows are changing a little bit. Track temp is coming down ever so slightly. Maybe the rubber getting on the racetrack is starting to bring that bottom to life. Who knows, as Mendenhall gets up in the dirty stuff there.
Well, this is the one thing that I also like about this open style racing with no stages, Andrew. It's just, you can really have a good, long, stretched out run where you have to make a green flag stop, and you can use that first run to actually figure out what you want to do with your car, how your tire wear was, what you need to potentially change over the course of the next run, and really just overall figure out how you want to run your race. It's like a practice session that's in the race already, and you can see that Benefield is closing that gap down ever so slightly, corner by corner. He draws a little bit in the corners, then loses it on the straightaways, but he's not losing as much as he's gaining.
He's gaining quite a bit. So we'll keep an eye on the race leaders, but for now, Adam Benefield 1.2, 1.3 seconds back of Zach Millett. There's some other battles on the racetrack. Brandon Fronapple's been moving through the field. He's up to 9th spot. Working on 8th, working on Jeremy Brown.
These guys still running a bit of a middle to higher line. Like we talked about earlier, Andrew is just finding what's comfortable for him. And these outside lines seem to be comfortable for a number of drivers. You saw two cars at the just in camera shot. Still running that outside line. There it is.
Oh, Brown throws the car in the wall there. Got real free on the outside of Frohnapple. Threw the car in the fence so as to not hit the 30 car. And that's a lot of damage, I feel like, for the 07. You don't see too much, but he hit the wall pretty hard. Well, he slots in the line behind Kevin West. And oh boy, Kevin West must have had a pit penalty. He did. Zach, look at this. Box time, 54.67 seconds. And he has gone from fighting inside the top 10 to fighting now for 26th position. That is unfortunate for Kevin West. You see, he's got speed. He's moving by some of these guys. But that pit penalty, that's huge.
That it is. That's
Brad Peters got one as well. Brad Peters got one as well, the 5 car. 55.25 seconds in the box. That's indicative. So if you... A pit penalty under a green flag scenario is usually a 40-second hold. So if you subtract 40 seconds from that box time, it becomes right around what you would find for a usual pit stop, 14 to 15 seconds. That's how you can tell. If somebody's got 54, 55 seconds in the box, that's usually a pit penalty.
That would be a speeding penalty if I'm not mistaken.
More than likely. That or unsafe pit entry. Alfie Sharon Jr. moving forward. He goes by Brandon Frohnapple. That is good for 8th spot, and Jeremy Brown gets real free off the corner, down through the grass. Going to get passed up by Gary Bowman and by Mark Martinek and by Edward Jurgen. And Zach, don't look now. Oh, but things are starting to come to life for the race lead. Lap traffic,
Closing
of
in.
course, has been a big talking point for the drivers. We haven't talked much about it, but for the drivers, I'm sure they're chirping the mics about it. And that could be holding up the 31 car of Zach Millett, because the 83 is closed in now to 6/10 back, and it's continuing to close in. Watch the graphic bottom right.
Out the windshield. Closing in on Millett. I keep trying to tell myself that running the outside line is still going to work. Everything's going to be fine. And you keep saying the bottom line's working, and I'm starting to see that you're probably right about that, because Benefield just keeps on closing in, ripping that white line.
Just riding on board with Adam Benefield, watching what he's doing. I love just watching these onboard shots and just kind of sitting back and being a spectator for a moment, being a race fan for a moment, and watching what these guys do. And Millett, of course, at this point has noticed that Benefield's there, right? He has to. So what is he going to do? Is he going to move lines maybe? Is he going to get down and get defensive on the inside lane?
This early in the race still, I don't know about too defensive. He may fight him for a lap or so, but I wouldn't fight for too long. Don't burn up those tires over the long run, because you're just going to be hurting yourself when you come back around for green flag pit stops again.
Which are coming up in the next, 10 laps or so. 10 to 15 laps. Benefield getting free up the racetrack. We do also have Michael Moultrie and Joseph Tucker fighting. Here they are side by side. This is for the 5th spot. Tucker nosing ahead now. Just about even across the stripe. Behind that, how about Sean Lodeson and Casey Knighton? They fight for the 19th position. Relatively close together. We've also got Jeremy Brown and Matthew Taylor fighting for the, 14th and 15th spot. Taylor with a lot of damage to the nose of that race car. I wonder if that happened during that initial crash, and he's going to pit. This is way early.
Yeah, he's had that damage just about the entirety of the race, Andrew. I think he got it in that initial caution that we had on the start of the event, and he's going to bring it to the security of the box. He's going to be the first taker, and that's going to start the cycle here. You know what they say, you never want to be the first one to pit, so
this is way early. I think this will be a relatively lonely pit stop. He had run 31 laps prior. We're looking for about 40. This is very early for Matthew Taylor, 10 laps or so. But more power to him. That's his pit strategy. He's going to have to stick to it now. He drops down to 27th spot. By the way, Daniel Wiles is back on, was back on the racetrack. He's now back in the pit lane.
He's got that damage fixed, though.
Yeah, he's 7 laps down, so he came in to get that damage repaired and head back out there. And Zach, guess what? Benefield has stalled out.
Lap traffic might still help him out, though.
So we watch our top two here, lap 75 of 167. And we wonder to ourselves, who is going to win this race? If you had to pick between these two right now, Zach, who do you feel like is going to go to victory lane?
Based on the trends of the race so far, I'd say Zach Millett, but don't look now, because Benefield may have stalled out a little bit, but he's still keeping close to him. I still think it's anybody's game, and now they're starting to look like they're going to draw alongside here.
I really like what we're seeing out of Benefield in that 83 car. Here's a look at the actual gap on the racetrack, just how far apart they are. I really like what we're seeing out of that 83. Draws right up behind the 31 through turns 3 and 4. They both ran the middle there. I just feel like the bottom's going to take care of those tires a whole lot better than the top side.
Weren't you the one saying that the great racing and the great tire saving is going to be on the bottom line?
Yeah, the tire saving will be, I think. And there you see.
Millet's moving down.
Yeah, Millet is covering it up now. Getting a little defensive, trying to hold that 83 back a little bit. Whoa, and he's going to get way free and just hang on to the race car, but here comes Benefiel on the outside. Side by side for the race lead, lap 78.
They got Benefiel up on the top side. He's got
Millet
a big
got
run.
way free.
Here he goes. New race leader for the first time, just about all race.
Adam Benefiel going to take over. Just shy of halfway here. Halfway is lap 83. And we've got ourselves a new race leader, a new operator out front. Adam Benefiel leads the way. He's going to pull away now as well from Zach Millet. He looks good in this 83 car. Intermediate seemed to be his thing. He won at Charlotte Motor Speedway just a few weeks ago. And we've got pit stops. They're lighting up the pit lane. Andon Mendenhall is in. This is a little bit early again. Russell Black is in.
He's probably trying to see if he can do something a little different, you know? I mean, they walked away from him. So...
Well, he's doing the same thing.
Find a way.
By pitting this early, he's doing the same thing.
Yeah, he pretty much entered his box the same way, too. He's going to roll off the pit lane now. Hug that white line. Hopefully not get an unsafe exit. No black flags overall, so it looks like...
Oh, no!
Oh, big contact!
Bins it on pit exit. Andon Mendenhall. You've got to be kidding me. Has absolutely junked that race car getting back to the power. And he's going to be done. And he comes into tonight 10th in the standings. This is going to take him out of the chase. Temporarily, at least. He's going to have to take this, yeah it is. He's going to have to take this trip down pit lane to his pit box and find out just how long it's going to be. He's got to pit for a repair flag for sure.
Meatball flag displayed on race control, and he even missed his box right there. He can't get the car to turn properly. As he position, looks like he's going to be. That's going to be a substantial amount of time in the box, but that is going to allow Joseph Tucker to move in respectively to the third spot. That's going to help someone like Daniel Wiles, who is 13 laps down, who needs the points, who needs to finish in front of his championship rivals to keep his chase hopes alive. Now he's going to have a better opportunity as long as he's still on the racetrack.
That's going to help Wiles not just on the racetrack, but also in the points, considering that's one of the drivers that was going to pull away from him big time. So that is really large. Really, really large for Mendenhall to have that problem as the pit cycle gets kicked off here. Sean Bounty's been down to the pit lane and back away. As here we go, Brandon Fronapple going by Alfie Sharon Jr. Or at least trying to.
Big thing now when it comes to the points status as a whole, as Montgomery and Millet have just called out over race control that they will be pitting as time by. Tucker is up in the third spot. Mendenhall is going to be way down the running order now, so that's going to be points gained
and
over Mendenhall,
Benefiel,
but he's still going to lose to Tucker.
Benefiel is going to cover up the pit from Zach Millet, by the way.
Millet just closed that gap coming into the pit lane, so let's see how these drivers respond to each other as they make their way towards their boxes, going past the stricken 37 car. A deep dive into the box for Millet. Benefiel up on the track first. Might still make it out ahead, but that first pit box, Andrew, you never know. They're up on the left side, pretty close together. down and away, close together. Millet might just beat him out.
They're inside of each other.
Close.
And they both get a little bit free. Oh my gosh, this is so close for the race lead.
Millet tried to stay down on the bottom line, see if he could gain some ground, maybe draw alongside, but there's a little bit of banking on that apron that keeps these guys rolling pretty quick. Millet's going to close in down the back straightaway going into turn number 3. Is he going to try to make a move early on? He rolls to the outside line. Big defense from the Conti Chevrolet. Lap traffic playing a factor, trying to cross him up. He's going to get picked off side by side across the line.
Side by side they go into turn 1, Benefiel and Millet. I have a feeling these two are going to fight for the championship as well. They have just been the best two all season long. They're the only two in the top 24 with wins. I just have a feeling, Zach. Been saying it for a couple of races now. I just got a feeling.
It's all getting flipped on its head right now. These guys are racing it out. They want to find any speed they can out of these cars. We've got 80 laps to go next time by. We're more than halfway into this event. Millet back up to the top line as he was so long in this race. A little loose, drawn alongside once again. Still down on that inside. Benefiel just trying to find a way to get back clear of that 31 car. I feel like there was a missed opportunity to go up to the high side on pit exit. Big wiggle saves the car, and they're going to get back clear of each other.
Benefiel the one free that time. Millet's going to cover it up. He goes down low to the inside of the racetrack, right on that white line. That takes the air off the nose of the 83 car. Benefiel's got to be cursing right now. Does not like that at all. He got way loose at that 83 car. And Millet's going to cover it up again.
He's got to be punching air right now, Andrew. A few missed opportunities, in my opinion, to get that race lead back away. But still lots of time to go. 80 laps. 79, really. As these guys work through 1 and 2 on that bottom line. Now I think we're starting to see Millet responding in a way. He knows that bottom line can start coming in as the run goes on, and maybe he starts wanting to run down there a little bit more. Obviously, lap cars in the way, preventing him from running the top line, but maybe, just maybe, he's starting to see how it can play a factor. Whoa, he almost got a little bit of a hook right there.
They go by Gary Bowman, who runs, let's see, the 08, runs 26th. He must have had a pit penalty, it looks like. A long pit stop for Bowman. A minute 16 in the pit lane. That is a problem for the 08. He was inside the top 10 before that pit cycle.
Well, it looks like, I think Bowman actually just called out that he has to head back down pit lane. Not too sure. Keep you updated on that one. I did hear someone saying they were going down the pit lane. Nothing as of right now, though.
Oh, Millet got free. Maybe not coming to grips just yet with that bottom lane of the racetrack. This is where it pays to be versatile, to be able to run anywhere on the track, to be able to cover somebody up or get out of that dirty air. If you're Benefiel right now, I think maybe you want to run the top side of the racetrack if you can. That said, the bottom works for him there. He pulls right up to the back bumper of that 31 car.
Race for lead still tends to heat up, as it does here at Atlanta, or Hot Atlanta, as they like to call it. The track's still pretty hot, pretty slick for these guys. And with this loose setup that they have on these race cars, it's a recipe for either chaos or wildness. Lap cars are moving out of the way of the leaders, being respectful of this fight. Millet now hanging down on the bottom. So he is starting to realize how that bottom line can be a benefactor to his race lead. And he's still trying to hang on, separated by less than a tenth to second place. And then it's a further 9.3 seconds back to third. So it's really these two in their own zip code as they run.
You know, I'm sorry to the rest of the field because we have not covered much of them in the last 10, 20 laps. It's been a lot of these two. But they are just making this race so good right now for the race lead in a spread out race. Look how Benefiel gets free through the corner and still gains on the 31 of Millet. I mean, this is good stuff. This is classic racing right here between a couple of really good race car drivers.
Lots of great action. Absolutely. You saw
Millet
Benefiel
staying down low.
He's going to say himself, Benefield take a bigger arc into the corner. That allowed him to get that run.
Here he comes to the inside. Benefield with a run.
Side by side, he's got the nose, but Millett's going to draw it back. Perfectly,
my
even as they
gosh.
roll off of turn number 4, but the run goes to Millett to lead the lap.
And Millett's now going to have to adjust line. He goes high. Benefield's got down low. Benefield's been working it so well. He gets a run here off of turn number 2.
When you're starting to see runs off the bottom, Andrew, that's when you know it's starting to come in. And they're still side by side. Get your cameras out, ladies and gentlemen. We could end up having a photo finish if all is said and done when this race comes to a close not too long from now. Millett gets clear once again. The defense continues to be adequate to hold it on. But for how much longer can that 31 stay out in front when he now knows that he is under pressure?
Well, the first battle on the racetrack aside from these two is Michael Matta and Mark Martinek. Let's quickly flash back to it for 9th and 10th. Martinek in the black Ford Mustang. He's now getting passed up as, Michael Matta gets free. Being passed up by the 99 of Alfie Sharon Jr. And Alfie Sharon Jr. is in this battle as well, actually. So Sharon's going to go right on by both of these guys. And move right on into 8th. 9th, rather. Matta down to 10th. Martinek to 11th. We'll flash back up to the race lead. Not so far behind those guys fighting around the 10th spot. They're going to end up putting most of the field a lap down. They already have.
Now looking through the ticker, you can see just how many cars are laps down at the moment. So much going on. I mean, they've got up to 14th place, 1 lap down. The next car that's going to go 1 lap down, that's going to be Jeremy Brown in the 07. He's sitting in the 13th spot, a little over 28 seconds off the race lead. You can see them closing in as the fight heats up once again. Benefield draws along the inside.
Ooh.
Oh, they make a little bit of contact going into the corner.
Maybe. They might have just touched. And Benefield slides right back in behind the 31 car.
Right on the bumper.
Gonna dive down into turn 3. Working lap 99 of 167. They're about 20 laps away from pit stops. So impressive between these two. Just can't take our eyes away.
I'm just watching at this point, just seeing how these guys are running. It's a beautiful thing when you see this type of racing, Andrew. Just because it doesn't have 7 to 8, 9 cars in this pack, a one-on-one head-to-head battle is always pretty amazing.
This is tough to find, honestly. 2 drivers this even, this long at a racetrack like Atlanta in this car. This is really tough to find. The Simrap Market Series has got something special right here. No Limit Racing, you guys have got something special. This is really, really good stuff. And there's a battle sparking for 3rd as well. Sean Bounty, Joseph Tucker. If these guys calm down, we'll look at it. But for right now, we have to stay with the race lead. Benefield right back to the inside. Here we go.
Still heating up. How much more can it heat up before it boils over, though?
That's a good question. That is a good question. Quickly, Sean Bounty, Joseph Tucker, side by side. Tucker down to the inside lane. He's going to take 3rd spot away. Joseph Tucker moving through this field. The AMR Paintworks Toyota Camry moving forward.
Everything's still changing around. So much still left on the racetrack. Just over 60 laps to go. And Tucker being in 3rd, Andrew, that's really going to help his championship fight. trying to get into the chase as they continue to fight for the race lead. These guys are not giving up.
Pit window hasn't quite opened. I'd say about lap 117 or so is when that window is going to open. Oh man, and you have to wonder if one of these two might take the undercut, duck into pit lane quickly, and maybe Benefield decides to do that to leapfrog the 31 car, but then you're going to be on your back foot defending with older tires. A difficult game to play pit strategy on an oval like this. Lap traffic squeezing these guys down. Oh, in the wall is the 20 of Colin Terrell. Benefield gets by. Millett gets by. More lap traffic ahead. One car right ahead of these guys. That's going to be... looks like the 6 of Mark Martinek. He runs in 11th. Actually 13th. He fell back a little bit. Side by side, you see the dive out of Benefield. He got the nose ahead for a moment. Oh, and Millett gets free.
The race continues. This is where we're starting to see it boil over a little bit. It's heating up, it's heating up, it's heating up, and finally you see the steam coming out of the pot at this point. They
Martinek.
are racing.
Oh, Martinek down right in
no.
front of the race leader of Millett. That holds up the 31 car. That is not the first time Martinek has had to clash with a race leader as a lap car. We saw it at Las Vegas. That gave the win to Zach Millett, took it away from Jeremy Brown. And here it's going to cost Millett and give the lead away to Benefield. That is not the first time we've seen that out of the 6 car this season.
Do we see Millett come back though? Maybe try to mount another charge before the pit stops.
I think Benefield's got the better car, better tires. I think it was just a matter of time.
Millett was doing a great job. Pulled them off, doing a great job on defense. See, how far away are we though from green flag pit stops again?
10 to 20 laps.
All right, so cool the tires down, save your stuff, hang on to it for a little while. Maybe try to get back to him or pull a little cheeky business and see when he pits and respond to it. You know, there's all of these different things that Millett can do to get back to that race lead without having to, in a sense, get a little more racy. And this is what you're looking at right now. This is just about the outside of the top 10. 07 to Brown. He is in that 10th spot. So there are your 2 leaders in camera shot, Andrew, and we've got almost this whole field to lap down. It's what, 10th, 11th, and 12th right here.
That it is. Brown, Matta, and Jurgen. All fighting and kind of just riding around right now. We've also got Quentin Lee and Matthew Montgomery fighting. This is further back. This is a lap down. This is for a 14th spot. Montgomery on the outside, Lee on the inside. It's a lot of damage for Quentin Lee. Of course, he was involved in that lap 1 accident. Just trying to fight back through it. Had a really good run at Iowa a couple of weeks ago before Thanksgiving. And moved into the 3rd spot in the standings. Meanwhile, as Millett falls back to 1.1, 1.2 seconds behind Benefield, the fight is spicing up for 3rd. Here we go. Tucker drifting out of turn number 4. Sean Bounty on his back bumper.
Just big time loose right there. Now it's all about defense. Once again, we saw it for the race lead. Now we're going to see it for 3rd. These guys both just ripping that top line, but you can see Bounty is just rolling through the center a lot better. He gets a run, but he has to check up out of it on corner exit. So that's really limiting what he can do. Rolls right up onto the bumper, tries to upset that car, and now he's going to move down to the bottom. That 34 car takes it to the front of that 39 of Tucker, but they're still going to hold alongside each other.
Tucker fighting back. And wow, that's close there through turns 1 and 2. Bounty on the inside, Tucker on the outside. Bounty real free off the corner. Gets in behind. Pit stops just started up. Russell Black came in. Michael Matta came in. And we expect Matthew Taylor in at really any time. I wouldn't expect these guys to be in range at the end of the race for about 5 more laps, maybe a little bit less. Maybe 4 laps. Here we go, once again for third spot. Bounty to the inside of Tucker. Oh, contact between the two.
If you're getting ready to hit pit road, you either got to commit to this pass and get it done, or you got to try to fall in line and just be a little bit more patient. You can't be sitting around fighting as you're getting ready to hit to the pit lane, Andrew. I mean, we've seen it time and time again where drivers need to pit and they're getting raced, and it's hard for them to get down to the bottom, and it results in cautions.
At the same time, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you're Bounty to get to the inside of Tucker and hold it there and then pit from the inside of Tucker. That would leave Tucker on the racetrack for at least 1 extra lap. Get you the undercut on him. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you can't complete the pass.
Well, it all remains to be seen. We got one car coming out of the pit lane.
And a couple of cars battling. This is Fronapple and Sharon Jr.
This is for 6 and 7. Oh, Sharon!
That was a moment. That was close to a caution. Boy, a caution now would spoil this whole thing. So Fronapple goes by for 6th spot. He has had a really good run today. And I mean really good run. I don't know where this pace has come from for the 30 car, but Brandon Fronapple has been a lot of fun to watch. Very quietly moving through the field. As low as 26th, that's where he started. Has driven to 6th place. That takes something special. To have that discipline to drive through the field like that, at a racetrack like Atlanta Motor Speedway, Zach, that takes something special out of the 30 car.
It does. 26 to 6 is a big run up to the front. He's one of the biggest movers of the race, actually. You know, you look through the rest of the field, the only other drivers that have moved up so far is Edward Jurgen. He's up to 9th from 30th. You've got Alfie Sharon Jr., he's up from 15th to 7th. Michael Moultries from 13th to 5th. Joseph Tucker, 11th to 3rd. Those are some big movers of the race, but not everybody has been able to do a lot of great work like Fronapple has here.
Meanwhile, here we go. Sean Boundy, Joseph Tucker, once again fighting. Now lap traffic right ahead of these two. On board with Boundy.
There you see the traffic up in front. This is going to play into the race.
Tucker goes low of Daniel Half. Riding this onboard for a whole lap with Sean Boundy. Again, really interesting watching these guys from the onboard cameras. Love doing it. And he's going to pit. He's coming early all night long. This is 40 laps now complete for him. This is right on the money. A little bit early, just a hair. But that's good for an undercut, yeah. See, Daniel Wiles back on the pit lane. He is now 52 laps down, so he called it quits a while ago. And he will not benefit from the end in Mendenhall situation.
Looking at race control scoring right now, no black flags, so everyone's still holding pretty strong overall. Mark Martinek in the pit lane. You know, Andrew, I keep getting tempted. He's running a Ford, he's running the 6 car, and he's just about called Mark Martin, so I keep slipping up a little bit, and I have to correct myself. That is not Mark Martin, that's Mark Martinek.
Yeah, one of the greatest names in all of iRacing that I've seen. Mark Martinek as opposed to Mark Martin. It's perfect. I think that's why he's running the number 6'4".
I got a Mark Martin wallet too. I mean, it's not like I don't see Mark Martin every single day. I'm like slipping up right here.
Well, as this run has gone on, Adam Benefield has put a 3-second gap on Zach Millett. So if we were wondering before about how that would turn out, I think we've got our answer. All Benefield had to do was get clear of that 31 car, and he did so with the help of Mark Martinek. Certainly wasn't how it was drawn up, but it worked out for the 83 car anyway.
Just over 40 laps to go, too. I mean, he's going to have to pull that lead back. You see Benefield drifting through the corner a little bit as he rolls up on lap traffic. All things considered, I mean, Jeremy Brown has done a great job to keep himself on the lead lap. He's actually moved up multiple positions here through the pit stops. And you know, he's going to end up being the first car one lap down here once he gets past, because I'm assuming he will be just, it's either going to be before or after the pit stops as we continue to roll on through. And, you know, you got to imagine, Andrew, what happens if a caution comes out right now in the middle of the green flag cycle. You know, we've seen how it can throw everything for a loop as Brown moves in front of Moultrie, who goes into the pit lane. It could really start to shake things up.
Don't say it, Zach.
I'm knocking on wood. I'm knocking on the wood.
Down to just 6 cars on the lead lap now as they run. Of course, Sean Bounty should still be on the lead lap, so call it 7 once it cycles out. And Michael Moultrie comes in. Benefield's coming in. He's a little bit early here. Millett's going to stay out. That's a nail in the coffin, I feel like, for the 31 car. Him staying out, that's a big deal.
Run it long, I guess. Change the strategy up. You got to try something different. Do what they're not doing.
Benefield comes in, will take service. Zach Millett, on the other hand, stays on the racetrack. I'd imagine he comes in this time. We cover that up. And yes, he will. Walking all the way up into the pit lane.
And speeding penalty.
No way.
Joseph Tucker.
Oh,
I got you there, didn't I? I got you there.
Joseph Tucker shaking the wheel in frustration. Not happy.
He was running third overall, too.
Was racing with Sean Bounty. That's going to make Sean Bounty's life a whole lot easier.
That it is.
But it's going to be a long time in the pit lane for Joseph Tucker.
Man, look
It's
at that.
so hard to get down to pit speed here at Atlanta. Such a short pit entry lane. Oh, and look at this. Zach Millett, right now, he's ahead of Adam Benefield for now. Millett on the inside of the racetrack.
He's
leaving
getting caught
pit
on
lane.
the bottom.
Where's Benefield?
Where is Benefield?
Oh, he just went. Okay, he went by, I think, as we picked that up. So Benefield's clear to turn 4 now. Millett's going to lose a whole bunch of time.
That is an understatement to say the least, because not to mention, he, like I said, Andrew, he got hung on that inside, that flat part of the apron. Couldn't get up to as much speed as he wanted to.
Here's Alfie Sherman Jr., Sean Lowe Deason. While these guys finish up their pit cycle, let's talk about the season schedule. Haven't looked at it yet this evening. We come in here to Atlanta, race number 7. Next week we go to New Hampshire Motor Speedway for 185 laps. Then it's out to Indianapolis for the final race in 2024. To kick off 2025, it'll be Darlington, Pocono, and Richmond there in the month of January. Unfortunately, we won't have coverage on January 22nd. That is a certain someone's second birthday here in Broadcast HQ, so that unfortunately will not be a broadcasted day for us at Pit Stop TV. We'll see what arrangements we're able to make, but Richmond should be fun regardless. And that'll be the cutoff race for the playoffs, where St. Louis will kick things off, then Miami, Talladega, Sonoma, Kansas, and California. And it's just come to my mind, Zach, I'm pretty sure St. Louis kicks off the playoffs not only here in the Simrat Market Series, but also in the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. So,
not to mention,
Gateway...
they got similar tracks.
Yeah, well, Gateway then is kicking off the playoffs / chase in each of these two series. There's going to be a lot of Gateway on Pit Stop TV. February 5th here for the Simrat Market Series. And if we look at the BRB schedule, March 4th for the BRB Racing League.
Just separated by about a month. And I don't know if you saw it, but I just saw it. Zach Millett just went fastest on the racetrack as he works to track down
4.5 seconds back, though.
No, it all remains to be seen. And I will say, Andrew, as long as I am invited again this year, I shall attempt to be at the little one's birthday party so long as I don't blow a tire again the night before.
Oh, man. Well, let's hope you don't blow a tire. But look here at Zach Millett as he runs about 4.25 seconds behind the race leader of Adam Benefield. We're down to just 6 cars on the lead lap. Adam Benefield, Zach Millett, Sean Boundy, Michael Moultrie, Russell Black, and Michael Matta. And not all of those drivers have pitted. In fact, half of them have not. Actually, no. A third of them have not. Russell Black and Michael Matta still have to pit, it looks like. There's Black. He pitted 23 laps ago, so he should have to pit one more time, along with Michael Matta. And there's Matta blinking in the distance as Zach Millett goes fastest. This could cause a caution, this kind of blinking from Matta, right in front of the race leader of Benefield.
You never know. But the thing that I'm looking at now, that gap continues to go down. Benefield and Millett, 3.8 seconds now. Just over 30 laps to go. You know, I'm going to do another thing. I'm going to say another thing here, and I'm going to knock on wood.
Watch the blinking real quick. Just do me a favor. Watch the blinking there in the circle.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
That is a lot of blinking for Matta. And that's going to be frustrating the race leader of Adam Benefield here. Circle it again. Right in that circle. You can see the car blinking in and out of existence.
And with the closing rate right now, I don't know. I give it about another 2 to 3 laps, if that, before he catches. Looking like it's stabilized for the moment. Never mind. I should really stop talking.
Well, Matta will pull off and get out of the way of Benefield, so that's good. That's still a little scary. It could still cause an incident if he were to, catch the wrong person at the wrong time.
Well, another 3/10 down, 3.5 seconds now, the difference between the leaders as we take 30 laps to go. And what I was going to say before we took a comment on that blinking, I'm going to knock on wood once again before I say it. This race has gone by relatively smoothly and quickly. Race time overall, since the green flag, 1 hour and 16 minutes. 17, really.
We go live at 7:45 Eastern with our pre-race content and such. We don't really start talking until closer to 8 Eastern. And it's only 9:28. So we've only probably been broadcasting for about 1.5 hours. And we are within 30 laps of the end of this race as long as things hold. And Zach, I'm going to make you knock on wood pretty vigorously for this. Better hear it. Oh, and there's Michael Matta blinking on the outside of Brandon Frohnapple.
That was for the free pass, too. Should we get a caution flag?
It was, you're right. It's now going to hold up the 31 car of Zach Millett. Millett goes through the middle of the racetrack.
Down to about 3 seconds on that gap as well, Andrew. 28 laps to go. I don't know what is in the tank for Millet, but he's working to try and get that gap down even further. I think the biggest thing is, if we do get a caution, I'm speaking in hypotheticals though, everyone. I don't want to see a caution. I'd love to see this race go to the end. Hypothetically speaking, if we do get a caution, Millet has been the overall best driver on the short run so far today. Overall, in the long run, like you said, Benefiel has really stretched that car out, and he's been able to work with these tires and really hang on to what he's got.
Yeah, caution would flip things around, and I think that would give the edge possibly to the 31 car of Zach Millet, but for now we stay green and separated by 3.3 seconds. The first battle on the racetrack now, right around Michael Mata once again, is Jeremy Brown and Alfie Sharon Jr. as they work right behind the blinking 88 of Michael Mata. It's going to get tricky now. Mata's just got to pull off at this point. Brown gets the wall. Whoa, hello. Daniel Half is down there. And here comes Edward Jurgens. So now the battle becomes Brown and Jurgen for 9th. And you might be asking yourself at home, why are we covering these battles deep in the field right now? Well, quite frankly, this could be a caution at any point in time. These two cars running side by side like this could prompt a yellow if they were to make contact and spin or have a crash. This is where the race could completely change. That, and we like battles here at Pit Stop TV. We like side by side racing. Another battle.
Love side-by-side racing.
Another battle. Matthew Taylor, Matthew Montgomery. Montgomery in the number 9. He's had a really rough season to this point. Started things strong at Daytona. He made a little bit of noise there. And since then, it's been a downhill slide for the 9 car. It's been a lot of fun to watch the number 9, though, because he's got the best paint scheme here, I feel like. It is the coolest looking paint scheme I've ever seen. West Texas Pepper Traders Incorporated. I just love this thing. Absolutely adore this paint scheme. And he's going for a position, going for 13th here. So turning his season around maybe, getting a good run under his belt here. If he can just keep this going, he can keep momentum rolling into New Hampshire next week and maybe Indianapolis to cap the calendar year off.
No. New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's a tricky place to get around.
It's not that it's a tricky place to get around. It's probably one of my worst tracks ever. And I love the racing that it puts on, but I can't drive it worth anything.
Battle is sparking up here. Taylor slowing down a little bit. Montgomery closing in. And as we near 20 laps to go, Benefiel has started to pull back away from Zach Millet. So this is our best battle on the racetrack. Here comes Montgomery. Taylor goes low.
Going defensive.
Or is he
Not much
letting the
defense.
9 car go?
Might just be letting him go here.
I think you have to recognize sometimes somebody ran you down for a reason, right? Why did he run me down? Because he's faster. I guess I'll let him go at this point in the stage, at this point in the race. Just let him have the spot. Keep racing. Make sure nothing's going to happen between the two of you. And come home with the best position you can with all of that in mind. So Taylor drops to 14th spot. By the way, Michael Mata did let Jeremy Brown go by, it looks like. And it looks like his connection has stabilized for the time being, so Mata is back with us. We love that for the 88 car.
Looks like we've got pit stops underway.
Yeah, some of these guys that were short pitting a bunch are going to have to pit before the end of the race. The leaders won't have to.
64.
Yeah, Black's going to have to come in. That was one of those cars we mentioned would have to. Brian Reese coming in as well.
Now, this thought occurred to me real quick. We've got less than 20 laps to go. Looks like Millet has not been able to close that gap back down to Benefiel. You know, we have got 4 cars on the lead lap. Andrew. 4 cars. I mean, this is absolutely insane. We talked about them being in their own zip code. It's pretty apparent now. And, you know, we get a green, white checkered or something. We get a quick caution, a run to the end. You're going to have a lot of drivers that are going to end up staying out to get that wave around. They're going to have to go to the tail end of the field. It's going to create for pandemonium, and you're realistically going to look at these top 4 cars right now. Benefield, Millet, Bounty, and Moultrie. You know, should we get a caution, they're going to pit, they're going to take tires, and it's just going to be a short sprint to the finish for those guys. They're just going to go all out, I would hope. And I don't really know what else to say on that matter either. It's really shaping up for something like that if we were to get a caution.
Well, we'll let the hypotheticals be hypotheticals for now. We're on board there for a lap or so with Edward Jurgen. Jurgen trying to track down the 99 car of Alfie Sharon Jr. He's just about there, but has to go by Russell Black now, who just pitted for fuel. That's going to hold up the 92 car. This is a battle for 6th. Oh, Jurgen free off the corner. I do not think he likes the placement of that 64 car of Russell Black right now.
He might not. It looks like Matt is going to bring that car down to the pit lane pretty soon here. Just called over the radio, said he was going to be pitting to these guys, so...
Been on the racetrack for 40 laps.
Big lockup right there. He might have been speeding in pit road. Checking with race control. No speeding penalties for that guy. Matta keeps it rolling.
Matthew Taylor gets passed up quickly by Kevin West. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it was just a quick talking point, Andrew. I mean, we got to think back. The only caution we've had is that lap 1 caution. Who do you think has really had the best recovery overall when it comes to drivers involved?
This guy right here. Dylan Cardenas, one of the only drivers that I saw involved in that has stayed on the racetrack and stayed in decent condition. He runs now 12th spot as he goes by a pitting Mark Martinek. Martinek there in the pit lane, but Dylan Cardenas now 12th spot in the 12 car. Has had a very solid day considering the circumstances and the damage to that number 12 car. There you see as low as 28th at one point. I feel like every time we see him, he's having a decent run here in the Sim Rep Market Series. So, hats off to the 12 car.
Yeah, he's definitely had a good job. I know Taylor's had a pretty decent job as well. He's not too far behind.
But having to save fuel, listen in. Watch the telemetry graphic there, bottom right.
Look at him push the clutch in. He is clutching through these corners. I was going to say he was running up in the 13th spot. Now he's all the way down to 16th. He's letting a lot of cars go by him right now.
He's trying to keep from pitting. Didn't do the fuel math correctly. This is what I was concerned about for a lot of those guys that were pitting early. Do the fuel math wrong and you could be in the situation where he just ran his 41st lap and he's got 10 to go. 11 to go.
Well, he's a lap down, so 10 to go, really. Now I think
2 laps
down. So 9.
Well, but it's still 11 to go for the race leader, though.
That it is. And if he keeps saving like this, more than likely he's going to end up getting passed as well. 1 more, maybe 2 more times, so that could put this 44 car further laps down. You know, it's the risky take. Atlanta has come to be a fuel-saving track over the years. Now with the repave and the reconfiguration, it's a little different overall, but you know, back in the day, it was one of those tracks where you'd see a lot of guys staying out trying to risk the fuel save. But, you know, the race continues to roll on. Benefield still hanging on. You know, we're coming back around. It's 9 laps to go for these guys. We got a 5-second lead over Zach Millett, and everyone's just so spread out now as well. Speaking of spreading out, actually, Joseph Tucker is still hanging on in the 11th spot after that speeding penalty, so there's still some open, ample room for him to get a top 10.
It's interesting, Tucker and West are very close together right now. Joseph Tucker in 11th, Kevin West now in 12th. They are separated by about a second on the racetrack. They've each fallen victim to a speeding penalty today.
It just goes to show. Tucker was third, and he was contending with guys like Zach Millett after these pit stops were rolling through, and that's 7 spots that he's lost. 8, excuse me.
Each of those drivers having to battle back from that penalty earlier on. And now we're kind of in the waiting game. 7 laps to go for the race leader, Adam Benefiel. Just waiting to see if we're going to get a caution or not before the end of this race. Otherwise, this should wrap up nice and decently. He's going to put Cardenas one more lap down. We got pit stops from Panto Racing.
Yeah, they just called out over the radio they'd be coming down on pit road. You see Tyrrell in the box.
Cody Ellis, Colin Terrell. Both coming in for service, and it'll be 2 tires down and away for Colin Terrell.
It looks like the fuel saving did not work out for the 44.
Matthew Taylor coming in.
Couldn't stay out. Had to bring it down pit road. Sometimes it's just the way it goes.
That's such a kick in the gut, too, to have saved all that fuel, done everything he could to stretch it out, and still have to come in and pit.
That's
Sean
just the
Boundy
way-
back in. Whoa, hang on. This is out of 3rd spot. He did the math incorrectly. He's short. I thought he would have been good.
That moves Moultrie into the 3rd spot.
And now just 3 cars on the lead lap.
Well, you did say, honestly, Andrew, that he came in a little bit earlier.
He had been coming in early, but I thought he was good still. I mean, 4 more laps. I thought he was going to be good to go. I'm really surprised. We were told 50 laps was a tank of fuel. So I'm really surprised he came back in.
Moultrie up into 3rd now. The last car on the lead lap. There's Boundy exiting the pit lane. Tucker moves back inside the top 10.
And Moultrie is just ahead of Adam Benefiel. I mean, just ahead. A second, maybe. So Moultrie could absolutely lose this lap, and we could be down to just the top 2 on the lead lap when this thing's said and done.
Go,
We'll see.
push, do what you got to do. Stay on that lead lap. Because if the caution comes out before this race is over, you're going to be all by yourself to fight those top 2. We're hearing more cars are heading down the pit lane as well. I think the 12 car just called out that he'd be heading down to the pit lane.
That's Dylan
So
Cardenas.
a lot of drivers getting the math wrong tonight. Nice to know I'm not the only one.
Well, it's 2 laps to go this time by for Adam Benefiel. He pulls up now on Michael Moultrie and Kevin West. West is already 1 lap down, about to go 2 laps down. And Moultrie is trying to hang on to the lead lap. 2 laps to go now for Benefiel.
You think about the points, Andrew. Moultrie up into the 3rd spot is really going to help overall when it comes to the chase. As Benefiel down the back straightaway into turn number 3. There you see Boundy trying to see if he can get one of his laps back and potentially set himself up to pass a couple of cars before this race is over. But the white flag is in the air, presented by Whiplash SimCams. 1 lap to go for Adam Benefiel as he rolls into turn number 1. You see cars coming off the pit lane, lap cars all around, but this 83 car is all by himself. That Team Conti Chevrolet goes down the back straightaway one final time, and he's going to send it off into turn 3 to bring it home.
It's going to become 66 laps led tonight for Adam Benefiel when he rounds the 4th corner. No fantastic Atlanta finish tonight because it's pure domination out of Adam Benefiel at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Checkered flag number 2 for Adam Benefiel. And he will take it slowly down the backstretch. The rest of this field wraps up their race. Edward Jurgen, Jeremy Brown, they come across the line just hundredths apart of one another. Tucker and Boundy racing after they each had to pit again, and Tucker is going to spin and crash.
He's going to cross the line still. to hang on to it. Imagine if that happened 1 lap ago. We could have been looking at a totally different race right now. But Benefiel is going to burn it down on the front straightaway here at Atlanta. A race well won. Zach Millett, I'm pretty sure, led the most laps overall. But it looks like that 83 car is going to put his car in victory lane. And Bounty did end up getting that 10th spot over Tucker. So they were on the same lap there.
Adam Benefiel with the race win this evening. Solid day for him. Not the most laps led, but you don't need that. You just need the last lap led, and he gets it here this evening. We'll take a look back at the unofficial race results when it's all said and done. Finishing up here in the first spot, of course, Adam Benefiel in car number 83. Zach Millett there in position number 2. 2 of the 3 cars on the lead lap. Michael Moultrie just hangs on to finish on the lead lap this evening. 31 seconds behind the race leader in a 31-second lap. So he was just tenths ahead of Benefiel there coming to the stripe. Brandon Frohnapple 4th, 1 lap down. Alfie Sharon Jr. 5th. Jeremy Brown 6th. Solid runs for all these guys in the top 10, especially Edward Jurgen. Quentin Lee, 3rd in points. He's going to run solidly in 8th spot. Matthew Montgomery hangs on to 9th. And how about Sean Boundy recovering to 10th?
It's a good recovery for that 34 car. Joseph Tucker, obviously, he's going to be a little bit kicking himself, punching the air. You saw the frustration in the wheel when he got that speeding penalty. He's going to bring it home 11th on the grid tonight. Kevin West, Casey Knighton, Richard Lanning, and Russell Black end up in those top 15 spots. Gary Bowman, Michael Matta after having those incidents on track. Brad Peters, Mark Martinek, I almost said Mark Martin once again, and Dylan Cardenius in the 20th spot. He's going to be the first one 3 laps down. The rest of the drivers, aside from Joseph Tucker, all end up 2 laps down.
Sean Lodison 21st, Brian Ruisi 22nd, then Matthew Taylor and Jared Wishon 4 laps down. Colin Terrell, Cody Ellis, Daniel Half all 4 laps down as well. 15 laps down for Christian Light, a lot of damage for his car. Andon Mendenhall ended up out of this race decently early. He actually came back out for a while, but ended up smashing into the outside wall under that long green flag run. 22 laps down for Mendenhall, 100 laps down, and an early exit for Daniel Wiles this evening in 30th spot. And finally, Christopher Cash there in 31st spot. Did not make it beyond the start of tonight's race. We await our race winner in the league Discord. No Adam Benefiel just yet. We're going to stall here for a second, so while we wait on him, we will talk about our upcoming broadcast here at Pit Stop TV. Next up, tomorrow night, it's the Jason K. Miller Memorial at Southern National Motorsports Park for the Sarah Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. Race number 2 of 11 there. They've got a lot of mystery races coming up where we don't know where the heck we're going just yet, but we know we're going to Southern National tomorrow night. Make sure to tune in for that one at 9:45 Eastern. Some short track racing with super late models coming up at you in just about, in fact, exactly 24 hours time. Then next week, we head to a new week of racing with NASCAR Cup Series vehicles at Kansas Speedway and New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series and the Sim Rap Market Series. We move to Kansas for the BRB Racing League, and then we can move to New Hampshire for the Sim Rap Market Series. And as much as I've tried, yes, there we go. He's just joined. We have an Adam Benefiel this evening. We will talk to our race winner who goes 66 laps, and the soundboard gets us once again, but Adam Benefiel, second intermediate race in a row that you go to victory lane. First it was Charlotte a few weeks ago. Tonight it's Atlanta Motor Speedway, and while the soundboard says you haven't won in a while, it hasn't been that long. Now win number 2 on the season for you. How important is this one?
Man, this was fun. I'm not gonna lie. Zach made me work for it. That's for sure. I was had Dustin in there with me in our Discord, and he was kind of keeping me up to date and what was going on and fuel numbers and whatnot. And I told him, I was like, man, I said I ain't had my wrist hurt like that, and probably since I raced Coke. So that he gave me a run for it, and he was smart with it. He paid attention where I was running, and I keyed up during the race, and I poking fun at him and said, hell, you're gonna take away all my tricks. I'm I ain't got nothing left. You keep taking them away from me. But it was a good time.
Well, a solid night for you here at Atlanta. Win number 2 now in the season. You're going to move up and up and up the point standings as well and get closer to Zach Millett. But is there any catching that 31 car in the points?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we keep doing what we're doing for sure. And then, I think the playoffs, everything resets and, we're back on level playing ground. It's unfortunate that I missed Daytona and then I had a family deal that I had to leave for Vegas, but if I was there for those two, I think we'd be tip for tap one another. But yeah, I mean we're definitely still in the game.
Absolutely still in the game as Adam Benefiel looking for a championship now at this point. Well, congratulations. A solid day for you from second. By the way, I wonder, is there anything else you could have done in qualifying to just get that perfect stat line and go from starting first to finishing first? What happened there in qualifying?
I'm not a qualifier, man. Like I can't lay down the lap like some of these guys, especially Zach. And honest to God, like the hour of warm up, I was trying to get my stream to work, so I could stream this race tonight, and I couldn't. I kept messing with the camera, so I probably did 4 laps right at the last 2 minutes of practice, and it is what it is. I mean, that don't bother me. Qualifying is whatever. It's I'm never. Pole award's great, but I'm here for the big checks and for the checkered flag.
Well, if the checkered flag that you get this evening, congratulations once again.
Thanks, man. Hey, and real quick, I want to thank Team Conti Sim Performance. I want to thank Brandon, Dalton, everything that they do to put on this awesome league. You guys for broadcasting. Y'all do a great job. I'll watch it during the race. I didn't get to do a whole lot of watching tonight. We didn't have but one caution, which is unbelievably awesome for this place. This is such a hard track, and for us to only have one caution, I mean, I gotta applaud everybody in the league. And but yeah, thanks.
Hey, we appreciate your time. Congratulations again, Adam Benefiel and Victory Lane. We'll go down and grab second place, and I want to apologize as well for that soundboard. Of course, these guys have their Discord set up how they want and whatnot, but we apologize for the language used in that. But second place this evening is Zach. It's another Zach. It's Zach Millett who goes second here at Atlanta.
Yeah, who thought you'd have a Zach talking to another Zach? But Zach Millett's going to bring it home in the second spot. You led a race high 95 laps. You were on defense control for about the entire time after that first green flag stop. You were able to hang on for a while, but eventually Adam Benefiel was able to get on by you. Do you think you could have done anything different there in terms of defense or tire strategy, anything at all, to hang on to that race car and hold on to that lead?
Oh man, you never know. I mean, Adam's a hell of a driver. He's just always got pace, and it's it's a pleasure to race with him. And I don't know, I felt like we were doing pretty good on defense there. I felt like we could keep that going. My tires were fine. It's the first time I really moved down to the bottom, just to be defensive, and I really liked it actually. So I think we could have kept it going. We had an issue with the lap car there, kind of checked us up, and it ruined that battle because he had to pace after that, after he got out of the dirty air. So it's just racing, the track's only so wide, and you get 3 and 4 wide. What can you do,
Yeah, there were a few times that we saw overall in the race where a lap car might have been a bit of an issue when you were trying to race with that 83 Team Conti Chevrolet. You had a couple of picks, you had a couple of incidents that might have almost derailed you, but you still were able to hang on to it. And even so, you're still the winningest driver on the season so far. You still got 3 wins to his 2. You're still solid in the point standings. Nobody's looking at touching you. So a second place overall still looks like it's going to be really great for you. Do you think, even though all things considered, do you think maybe towards the end there, the tire strategy might have been able to play in your favor to some regard? Or do you think, after all was said and done, once he got by you, that was the end of the race?
Well, we spent that last stint kind of hoping he didn't have enough gas. But we didn't take into effect, the pace difference. Later in the run, you're obviously letting it off and letting it coast longer. So that actually gave me an extra half a lap. So we didn't think about that. But we were thinking he was going to be short by a lap, and we had an extra lap to the good. And we were kind of banking on that. Kind of torn, honestly, because I didn't want the caution because I wanted him to run out. But then again, I kind of wanted a caution to get a fresh set and maybe, go full send and see what we could do. But Yeah, again, man, it's just a pleasure to be racing over here in SWM. I got to give a shout out to the SWM, IBM Raceware, Team Connie, Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics, Whiplash Media, RS Button Boxes, and Apex Sim Racing. This league is just it's really fun, and it's awesome to go back and watch the broadcast with you guys on Pit.TV.
Absolutely, and one thing Andrew and I were discussing at least is that if the caution did come out, you were one of the best cars on the short run to be able to take advantage of it, so it might have worked in your favor, but we'll never know at this point. Congratulations, though, on your second place finish, an amazing race, and we look forward to seeing you at New Hampshire.
Thanks, guys. Can't wait.
A very, content Zach Millett on that second place finish, and he did a good job, Andrew, and I think he's still content with that second place finish, and it's not he didn't exactly do a bad job anyway.
He should be content with that. That should feel maybe not like a win, because it's not a win, and he definitely could have had a win this evening, but that should feel solid still for the 31 car, and I think it does for him. We'll go down and talk with Michael Moultrie, who just hangs on to the lead lap there at the end of this race. Michael, by mere inches, it felt like hanging on to the lead lap, but you stay third place, you stay on the lead lap. How about that? As we've got two drivers that feel like they're running away with the series, you're the next best, and picking up a whole bunch of points. How did your night go? How important is this finish?
My night went okay. Didn't qualify as good as I wanted to. Figured I would have enough speed to be mid-pack, maybe, just top 10, and the race kind of just came to me. I was hoping for a caution to, restack the field, so I was, can hopefully get closer to the leaders, but I didn't. I knew I wasn't going to catch them, so I figured I'd try to save a little fuel, and, well, it worked out, I guess.
Works out for sure. A third place for you here this evening. Is this the start of maybe some much-needed strong runs at the front of the field here these next few weeks?
Man, I hope so, because I need it. I definitely need it. It seems like when I qualify good, I don't run good. When I qualify bad, I run better. So I don't know. Some tracks I expect to do real good at, and I don't. Vice versa. Earlier in the season, I really expected to have more podiums than what I have now. But we'll see how the rest of the season goes.
Well, it's good to talk to you nonetheless here. Started 13th, finished third. Not quite any laps led, but they're coming for you, Michael. Congratulations on a P3 and a solid night here at the office.
I appreciate it.
Michael Moultrie, third place this evening. A solid night for sure as I move myself out of the channel. That's embarrassing. Oh, man, Zach, I can't believe I just did that. All these days broadcasting, I moved myself out of the channel. Can you believe it? I can't.
I can.
Well.
Only because I find it really freaking funny.
We need some laughs here at the end of things. A super serious broadcast all night. We need some laughs to cap things off. One more time, let's look at what's upcoming for us here at Pit.TV. Tomorrow night, it's the Jason K. Miller Memorial, brought to you by the All-Pro Late Model Tour. Make sure to tune in for that one. December 5th, 9:45 Eastern. About 24 hours from now, you'll catch some short track super late model racing from Southern National Motorsports Park here on the channel at Pit.TV. Otherwise, Zach, there's plenty of places to follow along.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we're going from super serious to a super series.
I got it.
I had to get you there, but pitstoptv.com is the best place to go and check out everything that is involved here at Pitstop.TV, and the great place to check out all the leagues that we have the pleasure of working with here on the iRacing.com simulator. Facebook.com/PitstopTV, Instagram.com/PitstopTV_. No, I'm jumping ahead. /pit_stop_TV. There we go. Twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV. YouTube.com/pitstoptv1 and X.com/pitstoptv_. And with all the times that I do that, you'd think I wouldn't mess up. You would think, but I guess whatever Andrew is working with tonight, he's giving it to me as well.
Yeah, something like that. Moving myself out of the broadcast channel, botching the social media links there at the end of the broadcast. Who knows? But, well, it's good to have you all watching along this evening. Thanks for doing so. We appreciate it, as always. One more thank you to the partners here with this series. Of course, SimWrap Market, Motorsport.com, Apex Sim Racing, IMB Racewear, Moza Racing, RS Button Boxes, Team Conti Sim Performance, Track Bar Media, The Butt Kicker, Extreme Graphics, and Cyber Edge Hosting, making it happen for the series. And for us here at Pit Stop TV behind the scenes, we've got to thank Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, and Cody Williams Design. Thanks so much for tuning in. It really has been a pleasure, as always. We appreciate you doing so. We'll catch you all next time here at Pit Stop TV for the gotta think here, the Sim Auto Racing Association tomorrow night. Make sure to tune in, 9:45 Eastern. We'll see you all there.
A new wave has formed for Season 2, an epic tour that ends with a new legacy. The OGs are back, ready to defend their legacy, while fresh meat joins the competition, eager to make their mark. Who is willing to battle door-to-door and conquer 2024? Buckle up, because the season of a lifetime is among us.
Here we go. Who's going to get the better restart?
Steve, look at all this action as we come on lap 100.
First second. Going to go around. This could be the big one.